I was a high priest of a Druid grove. I didn't know what the character of God was like. So I wanted to explore, so I became a prodigal son. I wanted to explore. Come back from Iraq, I had some trouble and had some post-traumatic stress disorder from that. Some of the things that they did to treat the post-traumatic stress disorder was pushing me more toward the occult side of things. They taught a lot of the Eastern meditational practices as well. The breathing techniques, the meditation that was actually, bringing some feelings of peace.
Yeah.
I reached out to the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, which is the largest organization of Druidry in the world.
Did you experience any communication with these entities?
Yes, I did. At first, they would start as an orb.
Did you actually physically see anything other than just hear things in your head when you're talking?
I saw with my eyes, totally sober, and I could see details. I could see her hair, her arms, her legs. It was very detailed.
On this channel, we talk a lot about orbs with the UFOs. The entire campgrounds would be nothing but these orbs floating everywhere. The entities, the different entities that we were communicating with, they didn't agree, and all the time at war with each other. And
wow. I just dug a little deeper, and I learned about this deity named Lilith.
At the same time, I'm seeing a push in the pagan communities from the entities, from everywhere. They were pushing toward this unity.
The Great Reset.
Love.
Right around, because that's what they were doing in my circles. It was the Great Reset. And we both got up and we just took and just the stuff on our altars, and we're talking a lot of money, but we were like right in the trash, and right out the door we went, and we're like, it's done.
Dumped it in the Ohio River.
And it's nothing that we've done. It's all about him.
Yeah.
His robes of righteousness.
Right.
Thank you guys for coming. I think it's very interesting, your background and how you came to Christianity, how you came into the church. Thank you guys for being here too, because that's so much to the conversation. And
Thanks for having us.
So first, Jeff, John, what do you guys do as far as evangelistic work?
Well, it's not much, and we're nobody important, but what we do is we do have a website, and the website, we have nothing of ourselves really except for a small testimony. And it just guides people to other places that might be of interest. You can find where you can have some free Bible studies. You'll find Strange Normal on there and some other documentaries, some free online literature. Mm-hmm. And if you need prayer, you can request prayer on there. But our ministry is basically to distribute literature. We try to come up with enough money. Most of it comes up out of our own pocket, and we order as many Great Controversies or whatever book we're going to go distribute, and we go door to door and distribute literature. Wow. And also we have, she does most of it. I take the pictures a lot of times. We live out in the forest, and I like photography, so I'll take pictures of nice, pretty flowers or something, and she'll put a memory verse to it.
Daily scripture.
A scripture to it.
I get those. I didn't.
And so, yes.
Yeah, most of them, unless it says something else, it's him.
And we've been told they go all through Africa and everywhere around the world. So.
And we do have a YouTube, but we don't do a whole lot right now. Like I'm reading through The Desire of Ages, but we do little things like some scripture things and little things like that too. But our ministry is feetofjesus.net.
Okay. And people can donate to you guys to get literature and stuff like that.
Yeah, we do have a Patreon, and there's a link to that on the website.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, it's been a blessing being here.
Yes.
Let's go back to close to the beginning. Where were you? How did you get to where you are now? But let's begin at the beginning. You were a Christian.
Yes, I was a Seventh-day Adventist Christian.
and you fell away.
And yes, when I became of age, old enough to make my own decisions, right away, I wasn't interested in staying. And, the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a church with people in it. And so when you're looking at people, you're going to see faults. And that's what I was doing. I was seeing faults. And no matter where you go, no matter what church you're in, there's going to be people there, humans being humans. And so you got to be careful, where you're looking. When you're looking at the right church, they may have the truth, but if you're looking for Jesus, you need to look to Jesus. Amen. But I had no desire to stay because I didn't know what the character of God was like. I hadn't seen it. I heard, the commandments and that sort of thing, but I really didn't see it in the world. And I didn't want to be like revolting or anything like that. I just didn't see that the truth was there. And so I wanted to explore, so I became a prodigal son. I wanted to explore. I took my my funds and I went into the world and slept with the pigs, so to speak. So, but anyway, I got into Druidry after I had spent some time in the military. And I became a war veteran when I was in Iraq. Come back from Iraq, I had some trouble and had some post-traumatic stress disorder from that. And I still struggle from it a little bit, but not anything like what I did before. But some of the things that they did to treat the post-traumatic stress disorder was pushing me more toward the occult side of things. Well, for starters, they pushed me more. It's just a customary thing. It's just by default, as a human, we're selfish. And they teach you to be more selfish, more self-centered, and to focus on you and your recovery and handling, because there's not really any cure for post-traumatic stress disorder. So they want to teach you how to deal with it on a daily basis. And being self-centered is how they want you to do it. And also, they taught a lot of the Eastern meditational practices as well. And it's true. It gave me some feelings of peace, And learning that stuff, I became open to some of the things that I was, I had a lot of friends, and I talk about leaving the Adventist church, and it doesn't have to be an Adventist church. There's a lot of churches out there that have the people in there that are just so judgmental, And with the community of pagans, everyone is just so family friendly oriented. They don't care the past that you're coming from, anything like that. They're just so open arms, and they make you feel like you're a part of something.
Key is the feeling.
Yes.
Feel like you are part of something.
As you are.
And
Just the way that you are.
No changing, nothing that has to be become a better character. It's just that come as you are, and you are loved, essentially.
Yes.
How do you define it? Fascinating.
I had a question. You mentioned that this happened in the military, and I've just recently, within the past 5 years or so, heard that it seems like there's a resurgence of paganism in the military. Like a lot of military guys worship Thor and stuff like that. Did you see that? Like that this kind of Norse gods and stuff coming back into the military?
Well, one of the things that the military does is it pushes pride on you. And, when you're going out to a war zone, when I first boots on the ground, I thought I was, legit somebody, and especially with the weapons loaded and ready to go. I thought I was invincible because of how they program you to be that way. And so it's just automatic for someone like that to be attracted to gods of war, goddesses of war, and those sort of things. So yes, it's definitely a thing.
To kind of piggyback on that, because just real quickly, John Todd, if you've heard his story, he was an ex-Illuminati member, I believe, in Club of 300 and a warlock of some sort himself. He says that being that high up, they always, in each branch of the government, of the military, in every recruiting center, they have one that works there because they want it to be an overwhelming theme of witchcraft that they're really teaching. Is that true from your standpoint?
Really, they pushed Christianity when I was in there. They pushed a lot of Christianity in there, but of course, the main Christian denomination that they were promoting was Catholicism. So that,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Which is
But-
Christianity, because they don't even follow the Bible. But don't get me started.
oh yeah.
but the chaplains are they're pretty much forced to be open
Yes.
to any denomination or any belief outside of Christianity as well,
Right.
and they have to accommodate
Yes.
for whatever the soldier's belief is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's many factions of the government. I imagine that even what I've noticed is the Air Force is much different than the Marines, right? So I had a lot of friends when I was out in Hawaii. It was a very transient state where a lot of people were coming in and out because there's many bases out there. Just thinking about all the friends I had out there, the friends that I had that were in different areas had different. I could tell that different sections had different personalities. I guess you could say. And so it might be different.
Maybe the Marines are always more hardcore and like, what's a Marine? Always Marine. I always hear that the Air Force is kind of made fun of for being kind of laid back and all that kind of stuff.
I've never asked that question before to someone who was in Druidry and was in the military to see if they knew. But I have asked other people if they just saw any kind of patterns. Most of them didn't know it when they were in. So I'm wondering if it is in there. Because I do think John Todd was telling the truth, but I just don't think people realize it. It is under the guise of Christianity.
I will say this, it may have been just a coincidence, but from what I'm seeing, it probably was not. But the coincidence is that my commander just happened to be a Freemason.
Okay, there you go.
And I think from what I see, that's a pretty common thing
Yeah.
for the higher ups to be a part of that.
Did he introduce Druidry to you?
No. It wasn't until actually after I was out of the military. I was medically I had just re-upped for another 8 more years. And I was at Fort Knox and I was training soldiers to go over to war zones, and still being in that environment, having to mock up that environment for the training, it was, troublesome to me. And so eventually I ended up having to be medically discharged out of the military, and I got honorary discharge. But
go there though. How did
Sure.
you get into Druidry? I mean, how did that happen? How did you? Are you still going there, or
yeah, that's where I was headed with it. I was out of the military, and I was going through the dealing with the PTSD at that point.
Okay.
And so that opened me up into a whole new world, because they had to diminish I'm invincible, and I can't talk about things, and the manly man in me. They had to tear that stuff down before they could try to help me with the post-traumatic stress disorder. And you have to talk about things, and you don't, as a soldier, you don't want to talk about those things. And so I was introduced to a whole new different world at that point. And that was probably, some good things in that. But at the same time, the breathing techniques, the meditation that was actually, bringing some feelings of peace.
Yeah.
And so that opened me up to when I had those friends that were in these other places, witchcraft and Wicca and Druidry and all these different things. I even had a soldier friend that was from New Zealand, so he would do the dances, the warlike dances. My kids would love watching him do that. But that was basically summoning the spirits of his ancestors. But it opened me up to, I want to know more about this stuff. And so I just started studying myself and diving in there. Eventually it led me to, I reached out because I was raised up. I loved camping. I loved the outdoors. And Druidry was more into, I know a lot of, witchcraft is about nature, but Druidry especially was, okay, witches have covens, but Druids have groves.
Yeah.
And the definition of a grove is where you have 3 or more trees together, and you're in the midst of those trees. So basically, it's where you have your magic circle in a grove. And so eventually, it's what you were called, you're called a grove instead of a coven. Your little group is a grove.
Okay.
And so I actually, thought I was talking to trees.
Wow.
And but I reached out to the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, which is the largest organization of Druidry in the world.
Can you say that one more
And
time?
the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids.
Bards, BARDS.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's based out of England. And I took a course through them through the mail, and I learned all that they had to teach us about, which is interesting because there's not a lot of written records about this stuff. It had all been either destroyed or they just didn't have the old Gaelic languages. They just didn't write things down. They did like ogums in the trees or on wood, but there really wasn't much written records of stuff.
Wow.
And of course, now we know that Rome came in and took over everything. And then they had their side of the story. And in a lot of things, like Pliny was a Roman poet. And you get a lot of history out of Pliny. And that's where they get a lot of today's Druidry, they get from Pliny. So we really don't know exactly what they did back then or what they didn't do back then, unless you have some communication of some entity that was alive during that time, which I believe that we can do. We can have communication with entities because we know that there are angels, fallen angels, and they were there alive during that time.
Did you experience any communication with these entities?
Yes, I did. And one of the other reasons why I got into Druidry, I picked Druidry out of all the different avenues, is because I was studying my my background, my lineage, and my Scottish heritage led me into Druidry. And one of the things that we do is we connect with our ancestors, so
Oh, wow.
the rituals that we have sometimes is calling them forth because they can give you wisdom. And also because we're really big on King Arthur and the knights. We would connect with them, and it would get deeper than that. There were actually times when I would help people that were experiencing problems with paranormal activities, and they were being harassed by certain entities. And I had this belief where I could take certain crystals and I could go into a place and I could use the crystals to control them. and then use other crystals to entrap them. And then I could take them out into nature and I can release them and they would become good entities.
Oh, wow.
Mingled in with nature. They would become the flowers and the trees and things.
The fairies.
Yes, the fairies.
And this
Oh.
go ahead.
No, I was just commenting.
It's so interesting, but I find very interesting occult themes in this, where you said that you are obtaining this knowledge through talking to your ancestors, who we know is necromancy in the Bible.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's not, it's talking to demons basically,
Right.
Yeah.
that they pretend to be your dead relative, and for the purpose of hidden knowledge, knowledge that you would not normally know.
Knowledge at a tree.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm thinking like Garden of Eden right there.
That was the hierarchy of spirits, was the trees for us Druids. That's where the most knowledgeable of spirits were, in the trees.
That's right, because the oracles and so on.
And so a tree hugger,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so much.
we were,
Hearing all about like crystals, you think of New Age and hippies, but also Druids and witches. It's like it's all linked together.
yeah,
That's why Satan has like a flavor for everybody. Like you were into the Druids, somebody else might be into the New Age, but they're all doing the crystals. They're all talking to ascended masters or
Entities.
ancestors, entities, whatever. Yeah, it's amazing.
but there's an end game, and I'll save that for later after we both share our testimony a little more. But yeah, that is interesting that they all have their own avenues of approach, because everyone has their, where Satan is so smart. He knows what everyone's into, what their weaknesses are,
Yeah.
and what's going to attract them, what he pulls on heartstrings.
Yep. Yeah, I see that all the time. Like Oprah Winfrey shows or something, or even Steve Harvey. Like they'll have these channelers come on. These are people who proclaim to be Christian. Like Oprah doesn't anymore, but Steve Harvey does, and Kelly Clarkson. They have channelers come on their show and say like, "Oh, your grandma, she's telling me something about a necklace she gave you," and the people in the audience just weeping, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
he's just pulling on the heartstrings, man."
Now, did you guys have any channeling or mediums going on? I mean, you were talking to trees, I guess, or these entities, but did you guys use mediums? Any other kind?
And if I can add to that, when you were talking to, or when you had these mediums, or without the mediums, did you actually physically see anything other than just hear things in your head when you're talking?
Well, it's interesting that on this channel we talk a lot about orbs, with the UFOs. And at first they would start as an orb. And especially the fairies, when we would talk with the fairies, they would start off, it would be interesting. We would be out camping and we would have a ritual, and
They would get very active.
the entire campgrounds would be nothing but these orbs floating everywhere. It would be all over the place, not just this one or two or whatever, but they would just be everywhere. And we believed that, we were in a fairy city. That's where they lived at. And they were coming and going quite frequently there. And then eventually there would be some of them that would manifest into more human-like forms.
Really?
Yes.
It's amazing to me that when people think of demon, automatically in their mind they're thinking horns, teeth,
Evil.
but fairies. I mean, we're talking about Tinkerbell. Stuff that is in kids' movies, Ferngully, Tinkerbell, all about fairies, and you think, oh, that's cute, and no parent really has a red flag about putting their kid in front of a fairy movie. But these are another form of demon. Mermaids too, and stuff like that.
If you even look at the history behind fairies, and in America it's been very romanticized, but the stories are very horrifying, where they would steal your
Tricksters.
babies and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But of course, they want to be your friends. And so they'll make you think that, if you follow into a certain guideline or path or whatever, that you can be one with them.
Did you have to be on any type of drugs or anything to? I realize this is a silly question, maybe, but a lot of time we've heard the ayahuasca, DMT are big players in this communication with demonic entities. In Druidry, was it encouraged to be on a type of substance in order to communicate with these orbs, or what?
Well, if you ask Druids, it depends on what crowd. It's not necessary. There are some Druids, they're into naturistic things, so they'll use the mushrooms. The mushrooms will be used in some instances. For us, we didn't have to have it, but it just so happened that going through the post-traumatic stress disorder, I actually had doctors that were recommending me to be on the marijuana, and so we were using marijuana at times, and when we did use the marijuana, it would amplify the experience.
Yeah,
it would.
Right.
And I believe that too. I don't want that to discredit anything he's saying, because I think this is my personal thought process on this, that when you suppress the frontal lobe, then you allow the demonic entities free access.
Yes.
Because you can't stop it. You don't have the ability to say, I don't want that in me right now.
Right.
And I know there's going to be people that are going to say, well, see, he was on drugs.
No.
The reason why this clicks is because it happens the exact same way in many different instances. You got dead relatives. You got these weird floating orb things. You got this communication that you wouldn't normally say to yourself. And so these are entities out there that are talking to you, and God is against it. But in Druidry, you don't have that understanding.
You have to give them a door. I think using drugs is a door. And just for anybody out there who's never tried marijuana, you don't usually see things. I've never seen a fairy in all the marijuana I've never smoked. So it doesn't take away.
The reason for go ahead.
Sorry. I was totally sober before we had gotten together, and Jeff sent me a video of a fairy that was at his house around a candle, and I saw with my eyes, totally sober. She was about this big, and she was dancing around his candle. And I could see details. I could see her hair, her arms, her legs. It was very detailed. And
I've seen a scene of that in a movie or something.
That's from Peter Pan. They have a lot of that, actually.
And I say the drugs is not necessary, and I wasn't on drugs all the time. But when I wasn't on drugs, I was doing something that was exact same effect as using drugs. And that's the meditation.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does the same thing as the drugs.
Yes.
Wow. And so let me get this straight. You weren't on drugs, but you had meditated, and that's when you started seeing these things. Just like, for instance, Stephen Greer is big into the UFO movement, right? And so he has come out, he put on Facebook just recently saying, look, I can teach you how to photograph extraterrestrials. They put on Facebook these very dark figures that look like they're in hoods. You can't really see their face, but it's obviously a picture of something very dark. And so you're saying you were able to photograph these things.
But how do they get those things to show up?
Meditation.
Yeah. It's crazy. CE5.
It's the E5, which is meditation.
And it's Easter meditation, meaning, because the Bible talks about meditation. There's good meditation.
That's right.
Because I had a hard time learning when I was taught meditation. And I was taught what they called a white box technique. And I'm not going to get into it deeply, but I'm just going to say that the process was basically emptying everything, every single thought in my mind, emptying it out and putting it into this box and getting rid of it so that my mind is completely empty. Biblical meditation is when you're taking all your thoughts and you're recollecting it and you're praying to God about it at the same time.
And taking his word in.
You're actually putting thought into it, not emptying your thoughts out and making, a void space open for anything to come in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask, based on what I've spoken on before, I hope I'm not getting too...
No, go for it. Yeah.
Were there blood rituals, sacrifices, and sexual rituals as well?
I was friends with some people who used blood rituals, and it could be anything from sneaking into someone's bathroom and robbing a hair follicle, to perform a ritual on that. The sexual, they weren't a necessity to doing the rituals, but what I was into, the sexual enhancements would be from a result from what you were doing. Like you can improve your love life by, doing these rituals and that. But it didn't require, I've heard and seen some things from what you're talking about, but what I was into was not.
Okay.
Druidry itself is not into that, but I guess there are different sets that will get into that sort of thing, but I wasn't in that myself.
Because I've heard some people are actually, they take on the form of different goddesses or gods, and they'll actually do that act together to become one with that entity further sometimes, which is not good either, but it's a different reason, I guess, than what you were talking about.
Yeah, Satan loves to pervert everything that God's made. So meditation, he's got his meditation, complete opposite.
Yeah.
Fill your mind, empty your mind. Sex with one person who of the opposite gender that you're married to. Satan with many people, whatever gender,
I mean, the entities, the deities, the fairies, and for her Hecate and Odin, and they had some sexual innuendos about their personality, their characteristics.
Okay.
And they tried to push that upon you, but what we were in specifically didn't require some kind of, like Satanists will have the altar where they actually get on the altar, and that's how they're pretty much baptized in or whatever. It wasn't anything like that, no.
Okay.
And I want to get into, you were into witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to know, after we talk about witchcraft a little bit, how in the world does a druid and a witch together, and how did you become Christian? So we're going to get there too. But I want to kind of go there unless you get into that.
That's what I was thinking too.
Tell me about your experience as a witch.
So I came into witchcraft because it was several years after my first marriage had failed. I had a really bad nervous breakdown and mentally unstable, and I was in and out of the hospital. I had several diagnoses and very unhappy, very hopeless. And I had even forgot to mention at that time, I was into cutting. Because I literally couldn't feel anything. I had no feelings left. And I see how the demons got in that way. So it was very easy to look at a friend of mine who was so happy it appeared. And I was like, what's your happiness? Like, I've had a horrible life. My home wasn't really, we didn't go to church a lot. Matter of fact, my parents didn't go at all. The neighbors took us. So I knew like a wee little bit about Jesus from this little church out the road from us. And I enjoyed going as a little girl. I really enjoyed it. As a teenager, really not so more, so I just quit going. So I don't like saying this a whole lot, but our family life wasn't very good. I think Dad did the best that he could, but there was some abuse, and my dad was also a Freemason. And I remember little like comments, and I asked my mom a little bit about it, and he was like 32nd degree. And all of a sudden my dad stopped going, and there was like no rhyme, no reason, no explanation, or nothing like that. So I really didn't understand, but he did kind of force when I was going to college that I had to join the Eastern Star, and I knew absolutely nothing about what I was doing, but he said that I had to do it. It was required because there would come a point in time that I would need probably some money from them, and they would help me with scholarships. And for the first 4 years, it was totally paid for. I had a full, through scholarships and things, stuff.
Jesuit
paid.
school.
And a Jesuit, I went to a Jesuit college, but I dropped out my third year. But
Do you mind me asking what that college's name was?
yes, it was called Wheeling Jesuit College, but now it's Wheeling Jesuit University. It's in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Okay.
And it was a very tiny school because I was going into first I had thought about psychology. Then I got more into, like, as I went, I was doing a double major, psychology and criminal justice together. So I had went from wanting to do one thing to do another, but I really wanted to get into the criminal mind part of it. So I had gotten pregnant my third year, dropped out of college, decided I wanted to be a mom, and kind of jumped into a rushed marriage with my first husband. You're just two kids, and you're young, and you're trying to do what's right. So we get married, and we were married a long time, but some difficult things happened, and some very bad things, and I had a nervous breakdown.
Were you into any type of religion at this point?
Yes. Actually, we had went to a couple of different churches. We went to a Baptist church to begin with, and then a Pentecostal church.
What happened with the Order of the Eastern Star? You're still a part of it?
No.
When we dropped out with Corona?
I had told the lady, and this was actually funny because Cheyenne was a baby, and the lady worked at the hardware store, and I went in one day, and she said, your dues are due. I said, excuse me, what are you talking about? She said, your dues are due. As a matter of fact, you haven't paid any dues since you joined the Eastern Star. I said, I did not want to join that. I had no choice. I don't even know anything about your group. I don't want to be a part of your group. I've never went to a meeting. Matter of fact, just take me off the list or whatever you got to do. I don't want any part of it. And she was like shocked. And she was like, so you're not going to pay? I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want to be a part of this. I was like, I was forced. I wasn't given a choice. He didn't like hold me down with, he just said, you're going to do it and you're going to do it. So when Dad would say stuff like that, like, you just did what you were told. So, but no, I didn't. I'm not a member. I mean, I don't know if they have me on the books, but I denounced it. I didn't want to be a part of that. And that was before even knowing what little bit I know now, but I just knew that I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't know why. I just didn't want to be a part of it. So I had the nervous breakdown, and I was in a very dark place. And so I got into, just some craziness with drinking and smoking marijuana and stuff. And I met my second husband, and he was very abusive. Every single type of abuse. It took longer to get out than get in, and he was younger than me, so it really boosted my self-esteem because there's this young, handsome man, and he's taken this interest, and
When did the witchcraft enter your life?
That's where I was going with. So I was I had left him is what happened. We divorced, and I left him, and I was living on my own, and I was really still in that dark place, and I reached out to my friend who had been part of both weddings, as a matter of fact. And so I was like, you're happy all the time. Like, what's the secret to your happiness? And she's like, well, I just make it happen. I'm like, what do you mean? Is it that simple? Like, how you gonna make that happen? And she's like, well, you just, I just do these spells, and, you just manifest what you want. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she was into witchcraft. And so, like, I just started looking up and studying about it. And, like, I didn't want to be any... I think I was rebelling so hard against everything that I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be Wicca. I didn't want somebody to tell me what to do. So I became what they call a solitary eclectic witch, which means I could pick and choose whatever deity I wanted. I could have several deities. I could do whatever I wanted to attain whatever I wanted. And in the beginning, when I really wasn't sure where to go, actually it was some Norse gods, Freya. And actually, Odin had came to me in a dream one time, and it was really strange. But so I took, and then I took, what was Bridget from?
She was
that's another
Celtic.
Celtic.
Okay, so I took on my name, my witch name became Briea, Bridget and Freya. Those were my two in the beginning.
Now I've heard that every witch has a witch name versus a real name.
Yes, Briea and Brazia
Okay.
was my chosen witch name.
I did have one question. You said that you had two marriages, and the first one you were kind of going to church. Was the second one? Where did you go from I go to church sometimes to interested in witchcraft, and was there any red flags? Like,
Thank you for asking that. So I had a couple of really bad experiences with church. The first one was the Baptist church that we went to. And they used to do home visits, and they came, and I was avidly studying my Bible on my own. I mean, I would study like all day long, and the kids would play. And God showed me the Sabbath, and I was like, wait a minute. The seventh day is a Saturday. Why are we going to church on Sunday? So when they came out for the visit, I was kind of knew why they were there and questioning like where this was going to go. But also I was kind of happy, like, here's the pastor. I'm gonna present this question, and he'll have time other than the church to talk to me. So I said, how did we get from Sabbath being Saturday to people go to church on Sunday? I've read all through. I cannot figure it out. I've really been searching. Can you tell me, like, how do we get here? Was there a commandment or something, or what happened that did the switch? And he said, well, it's just the way it's always been. You're not to question. I'm like, not to question. And he was like, no. And he just did not and I persisted with my questioning because I'm like, no, I really want to, I'm sincere. I really want to know. Yeah. And basically he just got really upset, and like I was damned to hell for believing, don't come back to the church, blah, blah. And I was like,
commandment.
Yeah.
what? I'm just being sincere. Like, I want to, my Bible says Sabbath. And then so we had went to a Pentecostal church and different Pentecostal churches, and I really enjoyed, I like the music. That's what got me attracted the most, was the music, and just the feeling and all that. And then the one right before the end, we were going to it was a Pentecostal, but it was a Church of God. And I know Jeff and I had talked before about, people laying on hands and things like that. And I had saw people, what they call being slain in the spirit, and they would just fall for no reason. And one day the pastor was doing an altar call and called us forward. And I was like, you know what? And I said it out loud. I never should have said it out loud. I was like, I'm not going to believe in this kind of stuff unless it happens to me. So as he walked across the stage preaching, and he didn't even touch me, he didn't do anything, I fell out. And I got scared. And if it's God, you should not be scared. Right. And I was screaming, let me off this floor, let me off. And nothing was coming out of my mouth. And eventually I got up, and I was scared. I was terrified. I didn't feel love.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any security. I felt terror and horror. And so that was the church that we were in when my first husband had all these things happen. He went.
Let me ask you a question there, because that's really interesting. I'm
Yeah.
going over some of this delivering stuff a little bit. So now we're actually going to bring some people out to actually talk a little bit more about a very similar event that happened to you, recording this weekend with someone that said that happened to them. They said that they blacked out, and a bunch of stuff happened to them as well. Can you elaborate on that experience a little bit? Do you believe that, even saying this sounds I don't want to, I don't know how to word the question. Do you think that either you were possessed, or do you think it was a demonic spirit that inhabited you, or do you think they had some kind of effect on you that
Hypnotic or something.
hypnotic? You know,
I don't know. I just remember like feeling a force knock me down
Restrained.
and being held to the ground. And I was like, thinking I'm screaming out loud, but I guess it was meant to like, let me up right now.
That sounds like sleep paralysis type stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does, doesn't it?
I used to experience that kind of stuff, the sleep terrors and stuff as a kid, and a lot were on your chest. Even into adulthood, after my second husband, after I left him, I would have night terrors like super, super bad where I couldn't get up. And I thought it was because he was a bad person. This was before I even got into witchcraft. But I was delving into some other stuff that I shouldn't have been opening doorways into. And I think that was
Allowing access to that.
like BDSM and things like that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. I imagine that can definitely have an effect on things. And so that was the second marriage, or that the first? That was the first marriage.
The second marriage is, after that is when I got into that.
And then that's when you kind of had already left the Christianity.
Yeah.
And then you went forward more into.
Yeah, because I was kind of just like, I remember my second husband, like trying to get him to go to church, and we went to like one time or something to a church in Nazarene, and it was just some church like in the town we went to, and not really even knowing it. I don't even really know anything about them. But he really wasn't too much into that stuff. You know what I mean? So, I just needed something to fill the emptiness.
Yeah.
And so, and she did a card reading, and like I kind of got like kind of wrapped up into that kind of stuff too. And she's like, well, there's no rules. There's no rules in witchcraft. Like, you can make your own rules. Research it. You need to research. Pick what you want. Ooh, this is tempting to me. Pick what I want. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm choosing. And I just did very little, some candle things, some healing for friends, and it seemed to work. My one friend had, what is it after you get the chicken pox and then you're an adult?
Shingles.
Shingles. He had shingles really, really bad. And all he could do was call me on the phone. So I lit a candle, and I really went into a deep, almost trance-like meditative state of sending this energy. And it literally drains you. Like, I literally felt like I sent everything to him. And within an hour, he called and said, thank you. I'm totally healed. It's all the way gone. And I'm thinking, wow.
But Satan can't heal people, can he? See, that's a deception that the Christians think. Yeah, Christians think he can't do anything that feels good or is healing. But I bring this up all the time. Talk to a New Ager. They're doing crystal healing, Reiki, all this stuff. And that's not of God.
No.
I've heard, though, that I think Roger Monroe talks about this. And granted, Roger, he's not a prophet, but he's had a lot of experience in the occult. And he talks about how the healing that is done by demonic entities is more of an oppression of like say you have back problem, and back really hurts. He's causing your back to hurt so that you go to a healer, and the healer says, I'm going to help you, and takes that pain away, but the demon can come right back in unless the guy comes into you first. Yeah. And so it's kind of a fake healing.
Yeah, because we know that Satan can put ailments on you because of Job. Job busted out in boils everywhere because of Satan had the power to do that.
Right.
And the Satan can remove that, of course, and look like, oh, well, I healed you.
Exactly.
So you basically said this like prayer. I mean, it's amazing to hear what's the word I'm thinking of? Like just the passion or the discipline that witches have, New Agers have. They'll meditate for hours. And a Christian's like, oh, let me read my devotion this morning. That's so sad, and I'm guilty of it too sometimes.
Yeah.
But you hear about witches and New Agers that they'll do hours long sessions.
Not only that, very adamant about. I know we were very adamant about in the beginning all of our full moon activities. Remember, very adamant. When is the full moon?
Yeah.
We have to do our circle. We have to or get out. Yeah, get out of the house.
The
Go to the
sub-bots
wilderness.
were solar, and the S-bots were lunar,
Interesting.
and they all had their importance.
What is that?
Yeah.
The Sabbots were solar
That says they were.
holidays, the
Sabbots.
Sabbots, which is very close to Sabbath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of them would just call them Sabbath.
Black
But-
Sabbath.
Yeah. And then the lunar were called S-bots,
Mm-hmm.
the minor holidays.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I wanted to touch on, just for my own curiosity as well, and for others who have questions, I've heard them say, laying on of hands, Satan doesn't have, like, the Bible talks about it. And I know that they want you to bless people or ordain them and so on, or pray over them. But did you have that in witchcraft as well, that there was laying on of hands of any kind?
Yeah.
Behind you.
Like especially in the like when I would do healing things sometimes. Well, the one man I was in a relationship with him before Jeff, he would get really bad migraines, and I remember doing healing things and like putting my hands and like saying things, and I had the candles around. Sometimes I put him in, like we'd be in a circle and doing things like that. But I believed in
Using
like
crystals.
yes,
Yeah.
and not only that, the power flowing from me through my hands
Like Reiki.
into.
Yeah.
But I never studied anything like that. I could just I would visualize it.
Yeah.
That's a better word.
Yeah.
Or people at a distance. Like when I said about the distance healing, I would visualize all of my white. This is what I visualize, my white energy, my white healing.
Yeah.
And it would just travel to that person. And
Okay.
for some reason, I
We
was
were actually praying to entities for this
Mm-mm.
because they had us believing that we had the power.
Yes.
To do
That's
this.
right. Yeah.
Right.
You are your own god.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're just helping you along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my next question, just personally with my own medical problems that I faced even as a kid and into adulthood, I was taken to a lot of nature paths. Ones who want you to hold your hand out and they're going to put some toxin like mold or something on you, little tiny bottle. They're going to push down on that hand and they're going to tell you if it goes down at all, you have a problem with that mold. Or I guess you're deficient in some kind of vitamin or whatever it was that they're going to tell you. That seemed very weird to me. But they will also tell you, I had this one lady, she was a friend of the family, and I just remember having some really bad stomach issues at the time. And she would tell me, you call me anytime this happens to you, and from anywhere in the world, I can do this. She would do this thing with her hands. It was just like a mudra or something. I'm not going to do it because it just seems quite evil. Because it was basically like you're going to do the horns or goat head with your hands and then just push down or push forward into the air. And she would just be like, there, I've corrected it for you inside of your soul. And I would hear her say these things. And there were so many other Christians sitting around me. And these were Adventists as well. And they would be like, wow, that's amazing. And my head started going crazy. Like is this a witch I'm dealing with here? Because she said, all I need is your permission one time, and I can do it from anywhere in the world. I do this for all my patients. And I was like, I do not give consent. I was like, no.
You told her that.
Yeah. I was like, no, no.
Eric Wilson talks about that.
Yeah.
He talked about the hand thing.
But she doesn't claim to be a witch. She doesn't know. In fact, she's of the Hebrew roots movement, but she's a naturopathic doctor.
So more leaning towards Kabbalism.
Yeah, but she keeps all the feasts. She prays in Hebrew. She journals in Hebrew. She speaks straight from the Bible. She keeps the Sabbath, everything, to a T. But then she does this, and I've heard from other people, that's what they call a green witch. And I'm like, I have heard of that, where the plants, apparently they go out into nature, and nature talks them about what oils to make out of certain plants to even cure people and everything. And so I don't know if you know about that. I know that's kind of going on
I've never heard about that with the hand thing.
But yeah, I just thought.
It's very similar to Druidry, though.
See, that's
They're
what I
all
wanted.
And that's where the green witch stuff kind of ties in.
But it's very interesting because Satan is all about trying to create a counterfeit of truth. And so a lot of times there'll be a lot of stuff that may be legit things. And, you know, God created a lot of these things. And yet I know that we can put our faith into created things rather than God himself. But there are some God created
Oils and herbs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plants and things that could help us.
Exactly.
You know, there's a proper diet.
Yeah.
And those types of things too.
Of course.
But you don't put your belief totally in that
Right.
the herbs, because we do. I mean, I do a lot of, like, I make my own salves, and we do. I've been learning more herbalism things, but God has been very clear. Like, I am the healer.
That's right.
These are to assist. You don't need them. I am the healer. But if you eat properly, and these things can help, but that is not what heals.
See, and that's where I found my healing was I was praying really hard because I was having problems getting out of bed even as a young teen. And so I'm like, you know, God's got to have answers. I started reading herb books that had no leaning towards spiritual anything. It just talked about these properties have anti-aging. This one has anti-inflammatory, whatever. And I started putting together a list of things to take. I had my mom go to the store and get the herbs in good quality, and I started taking them for a month, and I was good. So I do believe God's medicine is this natural stuff. Like you're saying, it is the way, but it's being used improperly and believing in it as the source of power.
Because even during witchcraft, like, I was getting into that. So that's why I told Jeff, I have to be very careful, because I've separated from that.
Yeah.
And in realizing that God is the only healer. So if he doesn't want me using these things, you know, and then there's also like, and I've been guilty of not doing it every time, but I should be each time I'm preparing, especially because I have psoriasis. I make my own salves, which it is healing slowly. I didn't get here overnight.
Right.
It's a lot of bad diet, just different things, but he could heal me like that if he chose to. There's a learning process, I think, that he's teaching me because of my diet. That it's diet, it's exercise, it's the herbs, but don't trust.
That's right.
That's the most
Just in one thing.
That's the most dangerous part of occult or pagan witchcraft, whatever you're into, is that you're putting your faith into something or some place or some ritual and anything, but not God.
Yes.
Right.
So I started researching it, and what did I want to do, and I started with, you know, the first couple, but Bridget and Freya, because Bridget had some healing things, and I can't quite remember. I think Freya was some healing stuff there too.
She's even been canonized.
Yes,
like by the
Saint Bridget.
Catholic
Yeah,
Church.
that's right.
So then I wanted to make myself happy. I mean, so I just dug a little deeper, and I learned about this deity named Lilith. And I thought, oh, okay, like I identify with her a lot more. I was hypersexualized at that time. Just a lot of her qualities, I was like, that's me. And I think this is the route I need to go. But as I got into that, it was a very dark side. And I actually believe Lilith, she is just Satan in a female form, is what I very strongly believe. And so she was actually, when I would do my monthly things or whatever I would do, it was I remember pricking my fingers and doing a blood offering because that was a requirement. Like, you want to work with me? I want an offering.
So they
I want your blood.
You wanted it every month.
Yeah.
Or anytime I did anything with her, anytime I worked with her.
Does revolve around the moon, doing your rituals around the moon activity.
Yeah.
It's activity, I guess.
The full moon, it was the strongest because full moon and new moon, there was some strong activity. That was more with the
Transformation was more. The new moon was about rebirth, that sort of thing. Yeah.
And if you were like wanting to complete like things or to make things finalized, like things, that was your full moon ritual things.
Okay.
And but you could do little things like in between the months, say somebody needed healing or something, but it's like kind of give and take. You want some help, but I need something here.
So sorry, I hope I didn't cut you
No,
off.
that's okay.
But my question was, how do you know what an entity wants? Do they all require some kind of blood?
I don't think that they, I don't think they do. And it was just, I didn't hear an audible voice. It was kind of like, the voice in your head, and you're kind of like back and forth, like trying to, is this me? Is this deity? And I'll be like, well, it's not me, because I don't want to prick my finger. Like, it hurts when you do that. And I would be like, why do you need my blood? And the only thing I could get from it was like, there was power in the blood. Isn't that funny? Now that just clicked in my head.
Yeah.
That just clicked. There's power in the blood.
So in other words, instead of Medusa's blood, it was your blood.
My blood.
The goddess.
Yeah.
And it's that false, it's that counterfeit.
The counterfeit of
That just clicked.
the whole sacrificial system too. God needed blood to cleanse you of sin.
Wow.
So Satan's continuing to do that. Even though that system is done, Jesus' blood covered us all.
Yeah.
Satan's like, "No, I still want blood."
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you would have stayed with it long enough, it'd be like, you know what, that's not enough blood. I need more. So,
Might have been more than the fingerprint.
yeah.
And so then we had this small period of time where I don't even know what had got us to do it. Like, we stopped and we tried to get a church for a while. And it just seemed like there was too many like demanding rules and things. And it just seemed like instead of uplifting, I kind of felt like we weren't
married.
Yeah, we weren't married. We had to separate.
But we're skipping over where he wanted us to talk about how we got together.
Yeah. How did you get together? Because you've been through 2 husbands, and you were getting into witchcraft, and somewhere between there, you got.
And it was during the time of that I was working with Lilith. So we had met in a group, Facebook group, and at the time we were both single.
What kind of group?
Yeah.
It was a pagan group.
Okay.
It was a pagan dating group, I think, wasn't it?
Wow.
A pagan dating group. And I was very much into the whole like, oh, if you want something, you go after it. Like, you envision it, you see it, you go after it. And I was like, here's the picture of what I want in my partner. And I posted this picture of this male witch, and he had his it's not cape, what is it? Yeah, his cloak.
Yeah.
And I said, are there any male witches out there that look like this? And he posted a picture. And I was like, that's him, he's mine. And I thought, that's the one.
But we didn't get together.
No, we didn't. And so it was actually a relationship for me, a relationship for him later, before we ever got together. But
we were constantly being led down unhealthy relationships.
both of
It was just a part of that
Satan loves that.
lifestyle. And we had both just gotten out of one, and
we swore
I
we
didn't
wasn't
wanna
getting
get-
into a relationship. We
I
were
didn't want
really
to get
going to be
into that
friends.
relationship. So why don't we just, because I had this post-traumatic stress disorder, I had a hard time maintaining with life and all that, and she had problems going on, and I said, well, we just get together and support each other. Be some
Yeah,
good
I've got 2
friends.
bedrooms. We can just pay the bills together and we'll just be friends. Let's just leave the relationship out. And I thought, at first I was like, oh man, that's going to be hard because I had interest in him before. But then I thought, no, I can do that. I can respect what
She
he
was going to get
wants.
on a bus and I was going to meet her in Louisville, Kentucky. And I had a service dog. I had my service dog in my little truck, and we went to Louisville. And she didn't show up. And
They put me on the wrong bus.
she contacted me. She says, I'm in where was it?
Pittsburgh. I got on a bus in Wheeling, West Virginia early in the morning. They don't have a bus station. You buy your tickets the day before and you wait at the corner. And they used to have a bus station, but they didn't anymore. So when the bus came, I thought, this bus is early according to my ticket. So I went to the driver and I said, excuse me, is this the correct bus? Because I think you're early. And he looked at it and he said, yeah. So when I get on, he's heading to Pittsburgh, and I knew I was supposed to be going to Ohio. I said, where are you headed? And he said, Pittsburgh. I said, I'm on the wrong bus. You need to stop. He's like, ma'am, I can't stop. So I get to Pittsburgh, and I asked for a refund. They would not refund my money. I didn't have enough money for another ticket. And so
sent her back to
they did. They would give me a ride back to the original location for him making a mistake. So they took me back to Wheeling. And Jeff's like, I'm coming to get you.
Stuck there,
nowhere to go. I didn't live there. I lived in Ohio. So the motel I was
very introverted at this time. And thank goodness I had my service dog. I said, I'm just going to go over there and get her. But it was a big ordeal. That long trip was very challenging. And by the time I got there, I'm just like, forget about this friendship. We've been through so much already. But once again, and I mentioned this to you before we started recording, but I think that Satan had designed for us to be together. And at the same time, I'm thinking he's, okay, I'm going to hook you up with this witch, and it's going to be the worst ever. And with her, I'm going to hook her up with this deranged druid, and their lives are just going to be horrible.
PTSD, then that will stay inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think God was saying, oh, he thinks he's got something planned, but he doesn't know what I know, what I had planned.
What Satan means for evil, God means for good.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
And we did go through a lot of challenges.
We did.
And, we deepened our involvement in the occult as well. But it got so bad that, just like all the other unhealthy relationships, this was turning into an unhealthy relationship for both of us as well. Neither one of us were good for each other.
We were both selfish.
Yes.
So selfish. You've got to accept me for who I am. Well, you've got to accept me for who I am.
Yep.
Nobody wanted, neither of us, we would not give way to the other one.
So eventually we were separated. And for several months.
Like 6 months.
And she was down in Florida with her mom, living with her mom.
During COVID, when COVID first started.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I eventually went down there to get her. Well, I went down there to visit her. And when I got down there, she decided she was coming home with me.
The funny thing was, though, before he had come, and at the time I was working with the deity Hecate, and I wanted to break all bonds with Jeff because it was very it was more than emotional. Like, I literally felt like I was being ripped apart because I really had these intense emotions for Jeff. Like, I really felt like I loved him and I couldn't be with him. And I felt like I was being ripped apart, and almost like I kept making references to my mom. Like, you ever see a snake shed, but I think it's very painful. I feel like my skin is being ripped, like he's my skin and it's being ripped from me.
It's like a soul tie.
Yeah. So I did this spell to break that, exactly is what I did. And I did this spell, and it was full moon, and it's at her trailer park. And I'm out back with this little cauldron doing this spell, and the neighbors can see. She's like, my neighbors are going to ask questions. I'm like, I don't care. I have to break this. I have to end this because I am a wreck. I can't do this anymore. And I thought it was over and done. And so the last part of it was to send that person a message thanking them for what they've been in your life, but goodbye. And that's what I said to him. And his response was, am I still welcome in Florida? And I don't know why. And I said, yes, you are. And next thing I know, here he's coming to Florida. And I was like, and that was a trying experience. He ran out of gas on the turnpike. We had to go rescue him, take him some gas. And so when we got to my mom's, he fell to his knees and he said, I need you to marry me and you can stay here forever. I don't care, but I cannot be separated. Like, we cannot be separated. We have to be married, and you can live here. We can live apart, but we have to be together in some way. We need this. And I was like, what? I'm like, no, I'm going home with you.
That spell backfired.
Yeah.
And this being the time of COVID, it was having everybody rethinking, life and its purpose and all that stuff. And we were no different, being in that world, that environment. And Ellen G. White talks about this too. She talks about how the demons even can't agree and they're arguing all the time. And I was seeing that the different entities that we were communicating with, they didn't agree, and all the time at war with each other. And
Wow.
it was just amazing, some of the stuff that we were seeing.
How did you guys come to Christianity? How did you get back into the church? For you, especially.
Yeah.
Well, when I was being a druid, I thought I was doing good things. Like she mentioned, doing healing, things like that. And, I was doing these rituals, which is kind of like what they call an out-of-body experience. We called it astral projection.
Yeah.
And I would do these astral projection rituals where I would go all over the world and I was spreading this energy of peace and love. And I just wanted to see no more wars, no more hate, no more crime in that, And I'm not innocent of any of it. I just seen where humans in general were just horrible people, And it scared me if I ever had, annihilate the world button in front of me. There were probably times that I would have pushed it, and, took myself out too with it. Which is why I'm thankful that, I'm not the judge, that God is the judge.
Praise God.
But at the same time, I'm seeing a push in the pagan communities, from the entities, from everywhere. They were pushing toward this unity,
The Great Reset.
peace, love.
Right around COVID, because that's what they were doing in my circles. It was the Great Reset. It was coming.
For me, that's when it helped that I had the history that I had as a child in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and what I remembered about prophecy in that like all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah.
And that's where it was pushing, because at the same time, the Vatican is being more open to accepting all of these different religions.
The
And
coexist thing.
Yes, we can all get along. And so I was seeing a lot of that happening. And the Holy Spirit, just was talking with me. And I remember at one point, because I knew that the entities that I had been spending some time with, that I thought that I was close to, friends with, at one with, bonded with, they didn't love me. They didn't care about me at all.
And you could sense that, or
Yes.
was there something physical that you noticed about that?
A lot of things that led up to that conclusion. I had actually attempted suicide a couple of times. I shoved scissors in my neck, in my throat, and a knife in my chest another time. both times the doctor said I was just millimeters away from hitting what would have ended me. And, I was a trained killer in the military. I knew exactly where to go. And so it's just a miracle that, I'm here right now. And, it was just a little bit at a time I was being shown the characteristics of who I was hanging around with, the entities I was hanging around with, and a little bit more about how much God really loves us and how much patience he has. And he's not this tyrant that I was made out to believe him to be all this time.
Yeah. And what I believe too, because even in the little bit of Christianity that I had been, I saw him as this vindictive, like ready to zap any little mistake that I made. I didn't see a loving God at all. Not until, I got into the Adventist church, and it's daily I'm learning more about his love, and it just amazes me. And
Tell me how that happened. How did you guys all of a sudden just decide?
So one day we were, we just had got up, and Jeff had his back to me, and he's like, I've got to tell you something, and I'm just going to say it. And if you don't agree, that's fine. You just do what you got to do. And I'm like thinking, oh, great. You're thinking the worst. Like, what is he about to tell me? Yeah. And we hadn't been married very long. So I'm thinking, oh, our marriage is over, or, anything. It was just going through my mind, craziness. And he's like, God's been dealing with my heart. And I had busted out laughing because little did he know that for probably a month or more, that still small voice had been coming to me every night about, if you die tonight, where will you go? Do you really believe what you believe? And it made me reevaluate. What do I believe? Because I didn't know what I believed. Right. Do I go to Summerlands like a lot of witches? Do I go somewhere else? Like, where am I going to go? I didn't denounce Jesus, and I knew he had a place, but where was his place in my world? Like, I didn't know, what did I really believe? So he just kept dealing with me a little bit at a time. So when Jeff said that, I bust out laughing. He's like, oh, I think it's so funny. And I'm like, no, God's been dealing with me too. He's like, okay, then it's over and said and done. We're going to church. I'm like, yep. And he's like, yep. And we both got up, and we just took and just the stuff on our altars. And we're talking a lot of money, but we were like, right in the trash, and right out the door we went, and we're like, it's done.
Dumped it in the Ohio River.
Right? That quick.
That quick. We were like, we're not playing. If this is real, we're not playing. And that very day, we started watching 3ABN. Before we even, we're like, we got to do something right now. We got to fill, because that's what Jeff's like. We got to fill it with something else. Yeah. So he's like, 3ABN, Amazing Facts. We started doing the Bible studies through Amazing Facts. We did one set together, and then I branched off and did another one. So I did both sets of them. Like, I was hungry. And we were in there, we threw the stuff out. We went to the bookshelves to find the Bibles. We were like bringing them back in the room. It was that quick. And God just he just started opening things up, and that whole understanding, stuff was starting to click. And I'm like,
and another thing that led me to that conclusion was studying cross cultures of the beliefs in the pagan traditions, from Egyptian, the Greek, the Roman, Norse. All of these stories were almost like the identical story with different names to the entities.
Yep.
And I come to the conclusion that that's Satan's side of the story of what life is all about, and where we come from, and where he came from, and who God is. And I just like the story of the Bible better. The Bible has, because it shares testimonies from where people come from in a sinful world. It has a lot of ugliness in the Bible too, but it's got a good end. And the other stories don't have good endings.
And what I like about the Bible, and what I like about what God's showing me specifically, because I've been reading through Patriarchs and Prophets with a couple of ladies, he is such a God of love that through every time Israel turned from, so many times, and we are just like that. We turn from him, and we you know, and we just run away and we turn away. But he's like right there, like, come back to me. If you would just come back to me. Like, I just want you to come back. Like, I love you with an everlasting love. Like, I didn't know that. And now it's like every day he's showing me that love. And I'm like, it overwhelms me sometimes where I'm just like, I'll be in the bedroom praying and crying. He'll come in, honey, are you okay? I'm like, I'm just praying. I'm just praying because I'm so thankful that, like, the literal verse about how he pulls you out of the murk and the mire, like, that was God pulling me up out of all of this mess.
And the prodigal son. And even though we don't feel like we deserve the best robe, here we are getting the best robe.
Yeah.
It just amazes me.
Yeah. And it's nothing that we've done. It's all about him.
Yeah.
His robes of righteousness.
Right.
I wish I could see the story. Like, I guess one day in heaven we'll get to see, like, from the angels, like, what was it like? What were you guys orchestrating to impress on both them at the same time, to where they're like, we're going to church, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing that.
Or can you imagine in heaven, like, when we made that decision, were they up there going, finally?
Yeah, they're
Finally,
watching.
they got it.
They don't have the knowledge of the beginning and the end. Like, Christ, he knows everything. He's the beginning and the end. But the angels, they're having to watch all this play out, and they're on the edge of their seat. Like, are they gonna receive that witness? Are they gonna receive that Bible study? And it's like, oh, they didn't, or whoa, they did, and they rejoice.
Yeah.
Such a cool thought.
I feel so very blessed too, because there's so many that I see that when they come to God, it's not at the same time as their spouse.
Yeah.
And they really struggle with
We
that.
even got baptized together the same day in the same water. He was first, and then he helped get me in the water, because during that time, I have psoriatic arthritis too. And I think that was an attack. I had a really bad time where I actually got hospitalized for 3 days and 2 weeks in a nursing home. I couldn't even walk. I had to use a walker, then a cane, and I was still settling. I'm still getting baptized. On this day, we have said it, and he helped get me in the water, and it was a wonderful experience.
At first, it might have seemed like a Pentecostal baptism, but that was just because the water was really cold.
But it sounded like you guys got out, and you got out of Druidism, you got out of witchcraft, and you're back in the church. And how are you now spiritually?
What we talk about on the show, it rings a bell with some of the things that we were involved in. That's the spiritualism.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'd even seen UFOs, you know, and we didn't even get to talk about any of that. But, you know, I know the danger that is there and where it leads you into this, what you think is a utopia that is far from a paradise. You know, you look at the Norse, their version of like heaven is basically your war
all the time.
Valhalla, yeah. It's not paradise. And someone who has post-traumatic stress disorder from being in war, you know, I don't find war attractive whatsoever at all. You know, it's not beautiful
Right.
in any way. And unfortunately, that's what Satan wants. He wants war,
Yeah.
and he wants to get his army ready. And I don't want to be on his side, because we know that his side is the losing side.
Yeah.
What's amazing is, you know, we all need fellowship. We're told not to forsake the assembling, and we're not supposed to do this alone. And you guys said you don't even have a church within an hour of you. So you got to have this Discord, and you get to bring so much to that group because of your past. God is using your testimony, your past experiences to be able to contribute so much, because
Yeah.
there might be somebody that says, no, I saw this Chris Bledsoe guy. He said that the UFO was angels or whatever. And you say, well, I was a Druid and I experienced it, you know, so.
We get the wrong idea when we talk about witnessing. Today, we think that witnessing is about pushing our beliefs on people. And witnessing is exactly you're being a witness.
Yeah.
Think of it in a court setting. and we're being a witness for the character of Christ and what he's done in our life. You know, we witnessed what he has done, and we should be a witness for what he does every day. We should have a new testimony every single day that we can share with people.
I like that example. I never thought about that. A witness in court, you know, if anybody knew the old Jeff, they can look at you and say, this is not the same guy. Clearly, something has changed his life. And he says, Jesus, I believe it. He's a living witness. It's awesome.
Yeah, not very long ago was the general conference session. And, you know, with the post-traumatic stress disorder and all that, I wouldn't have left the house there for a long time for anything.
Yeah.
And
We didn't go once, we went twice. 2 different days.
there's probably many times that people would have went to the emergency room, but I wouldn't go. And thankfully I'm still here. But there I was at the general conference session, which was probably the biggest thing. We've done all kinds of things, but that was probably the biggest thing I've ever done since then. But not just those types of things, but my character, my personality, which is not perfect at all. It's lacking in so many ways. God has shown me every day where, you know, I need to improve in that area. And so, you know, I'm a reborn child. I'm a child right now. That's who I am. You asked who I am now, and that's who I am. I'm a child, and I'm learning.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Well, with that, unless you guys have any more questions,
You have like 3, and then
let's just 3.
I'm sorry. So I was going to lead into the question I had before, and that is, with you guys in Druidry and witchcraft, how you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but what is the hierarchy there? Is there a hierarchy, and how does that work?
In Druidry, it goes by the local individual groves, and it's amongst yourselves how you vote in, basically, to be your leader. And then, you know, there's orders that are completely different, and
Similar to Freemasonry there, kind of with orders, or just the name is in common?
I have some suspect about the connection there, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I can't say that for sure.
And where were you when you...
I was not a Freemason.
Well, right, but where were you in the lineup of the Druid order or so on?
Well, I was the main Druid in charge at our grove.
Oh, okay.
I had to submit an application, and right in my backyard in Evansville became the first and only official registered grove associated with the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids.
Okay.
And then that got put on Google searches, and people started coming. And with the voting system,
You basically had your own pagan church.
yes,
Yeah.
basically.
Wow.
You were like
Yeah.
a high priest.
No, there was times when I was learning that I was parts of a coven that, you know, accepted whatever.
This was before me, so I didn't, by the time I came into the picture, that was not going on anymore.
Yeah, I associated a lot with some Wiccans, and even when I had the grove, there were a lot of witches and Wiccans that came, and not so many Druids were probably outnumbered by the Wiccans and witches.
Right.
But there really wasn't. It was just like a vote of who you wanted to be your leader, and a lot of times people just didn't want to put the time and effort into what was involved into hosting and that sort of thing. So
Okay.
there's nothing special about being a leader or anything. You don't find yourself to be anybody special above you're all equal, you know, kind of like King Arthur's Round Table.
Right.
Hmm.
And, you know, we form in a circle. We cast our our magic circle,
Right. I was gonna say.
and it's all equality.
Right. Okay.
But you were the host.
Yes.
So that was the, I guess, the duty for being the, what'd you call it? The high priest of Druidry?
Yes.
Okay.
Was that what's called, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you would host the monthly sabbats.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least once a month there was a full moon,
Oh yeah.
and then once a month at least there was a new moon.
Okay.
But then there were all the major,
Holidays as well.
the solar, like the equinoxes.
All right. And for you in witchcraft, as you decided to be on your own and self-researching, you called it a certain name. I know.
It's solitary eclectic. That means solitary. I did not belong to a coven, so there was no hierarchy. It was just me.
Okay.
Eclectic means that you can pick and choose. I had no set, like I wasn't Wicca. I had no set of form of what I did, and I did choose not to do anything to harm anyone, but I did not take that vow.
Oh, okay.
And there was a couple of times, and sadly, I will say that I did some things that weren't so nice because people did things not so nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I did allow a friend to come. This was way before Jeff. And I didn't know how to do it because I'm not that type of person to do something like evil back, that he kind of did it for me. But he actually called demons when we did the circle, and he called specific name demon. I remember, and I thought, what am I getting into? Because he just called demons to our circle.
That's like the lesser keys of Solomon. And stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I gave permission.
Yeah.
I mean, so I was guilty of.
When you say he, you mean Jeff?
No, it was a friend of mine's boyfriend, fiance at the time, and he was very deep into the left-handed path, which is the darker side.
Right.
And I was leaning toward that. I thought I was on this side, but the more I got into stuff, then I called myself kind of a gray witch
It's
in
no
between.
different.
Okay.
But basically, they say the right hand path is like a white witch, but there's no difference. Witchcraft is
right.
witchcraft.
Yeah.
The left hand path is like the black side, which is I don't care if I hurt somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair game. If you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you.
Good cop, bad cop.
Okay. So when they do a order to the way that they're structured, like in a coven or so on, do you know how you would explain that very quickly?
I'm not really even sure because I wasn't in a coven. I have no clue.
She liked the lawlessness. No.
I was rebellious.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted what I wanted. I was very selfish. I just wanted my way.
Okay, and we had spoken before we got on here about how cloaks or certain things were worn during certain rituals. Is cosplay and different costumes involved in any of the rituals highly?
Well, Druidry was really big into nature.
Okay.
So yes, I think we probably still have some pictures even where
When we got married, we even had, because we were still in that when we got married, we were hand fasted actually.
That's right. Hand fasting.
What else?
That's their marriage. That's the kind of marriage that they call it. It's just holding hands, basically. You're back.
Yeah, and it was a high priestess, I guess, that she was a witch that married us.
well the hand fasting itself is not necessarily pagan.
No, it has
The hand
Celtic
fasting
roots.
is connected to where there was lack of clergy. What you did was you promised yourself to someone, and then
You had
a year later, you actually had the wedding ceremony. But it's been because it was mostly in the Celtic areas of the world and places like that it was adapted by Druidry and Wicca. And so that's the type of, but today's hand fastings are usually the pagan deities are brought into it. So
And we picked our own, and we just asked her if she would do what we picked. And actually, I picked it because I didn't want any set. I wanted something realistic. And I remember part of it was, are you going to hurt him? I might, but are you going to do it intentionally? No. Are you going to try to make things right if you hurt him? Yes, I will. Those type of vows is what we made to each other, speaking forth that we know we're not perfect people. And we made vows to, because we're imperfect, that we would do the best that we would to love each other. If we harm each other or say something to hurt each other, we would try to make amends as quickly as possible. And then, of course, hand fasting, she was wrapping the ribbons around both of us as she was asking us to promise these things.
We actually have plans to get remarried and have a
In the church, yeah.
Christian ceremony where we're actually in ceremony, actually promising to God.
Yes.
I hope we get an invitation.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm gonna sneak one last.
Go for it.
thing.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do any skyclad ceremonies?
Yes.
Okay, that's naked ceremonies for anyone that's wondering. Were you doing rituals? Yes, you're only
I was very hesitant. Jeff
The closest to nature.
yes.
you're only clothed by the sky.
Yeah.
Yes. And Jeff was very more open to that. It took a while for me to open up to it.
Yes.
Moon bathing is kind of like baptism, sort of like for Druidry,
Okay.
where you're absorbing the.
Yeah.
My goodness, do you know a lot about this?
I know. I
Okay.
read too much.
But then in reality, because God made the moon, and so there is some very healthy aspects to the sun and the moon. And we have a neighbor who lives near us who is a sun worshiper.
Okay.
And we agree so much, even though we're so far apart,
Yeah.
because he likes to get out there and soak in the sun. It's very healthy.
Yeah.
And we have a health message that has a lot similar things
Blue
to
Star.
talk about that.
Yes.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
So my very last question. What does Trilith mean to you as a druid specifically?
Trillic.
Trilith.
Trilith.
It's Trilith.
Kind of like Lilith, but Trilith.
Yeah. This is like a trick question. I want to know what
I've
you
never
know.
heard the.
I've never heard Trilith.
That's all I need to know.
Okay. Yeah.
What does that? Wait, no. What does that mean?
It's usually like Stonehenge. It's 3 different stones
Oh.
put together as an altar.
Didn't we watch
Oh,
something
okay.
about that not too long ago? Because I was like, what is that? No, you did that.
And we covered it recently.
I was going to
so-
say I've watched something about that. Yeah, that was you. Yeah, because I was like, what is that about? I've never heard that word before.
I do think it's interesting you're talking about like this stuff so close because Satan just hijacks everything. He's
Oh,
a
yeah.
counterfeiter of everything. And so sometimes I wonder if I don't want to say the wrong thing because it's like if we're too hesitant to things like, oh no, I can't touch that herb. That's witchcraft. And it's like
No.
you're missing out on what God has.
Right,
Right. Well, I don't want to lay out in the sun. That's what sun worshipers do, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think we
Because-
just have to have discernment.
Yeah.
Discernment
Some people
and,
bring up grounding and
and
things like that. I'm
temperance
like,
and
I
yeah.
bet there's health benefits to walking around barefoot.
Yeah.
And who you give the glory to. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's
where it
what
lies.
happened with
Yeah.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yes.
Of course, thankfully, I think Nebuchadnezzar will essentially be in heaven because eventually he stood upright again.
That's right.
But what got him on all fours, like an animal, was standing up on top of the building and saying, look what I did,
Amen.
and not giving the glory to God. And no matter if we're taking the credit or we're giving credit to the sun or some tree or, some herb or whatever,
Right.
or even an individual, a person.
Yeah. Because I've wondered about crystals even. I'm like, God created crystals. They look beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's something that I struggle with because I'm like, I would like to have a crystal on the shelf because it looks beautiful.
That's it.
But that looks totally like the New Age or something. But it's like, but God really did create this stone, It's like, I don't know.
You ever been on geode hunting?
Yeah.
I've heard of it and never did it.
I did that by a child all the time. I always wanted one that had opened perfectly and sealed.
Yeah. We had a lot of those. We had a lot of that on our altar, but we had our beliefs in that they did things. And the one, I don't think we did throw, he spent a lot of money on our rose quartz, and I think it's a piece of art now, like out in the yard somewhere, because God, like you said, we were like, God created this. Like, this is a beautiful thing, but I don't put any belief into it for any type of thing that can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a rough crystal. We had several that were carved into certain
Objects or something.
or a deity or
Yeah.
something, you know.
Right.
And I connected with the Native Americans a lot too because well, they're big into nature, but also what they called totems
Yeah.
or spirit guides. And I thought that I had a wolf that followed me everywhere that I went.
Spirit animal.
Yes.
I heard about those. One point I was going to make too, you said something about this on the skyclad thing or whatever. I think Satan is trying to see how far dedicated are you.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, they're pricking their finger or whatever. I'll give her a little taste of my power or whatever. But I think the more you give, the more you're showing your allegiance to Satan and the watching angels, everybody, the whole heavenly host are watching. And the more you give, the more he can trust you, because occult means secret, right? You got to keep it all secret. You're not allowed to expose everything. Even like if you get into the Illuminati, all this stuff, or Masons and things, they have dirt on you. You don't talk. We have blackmail or whatever. Because if you don't give a lot, then what's going to prevent you from turning to Christ and leaving the occult or whatever? So I think, Satan's like, okay, will you sacrifice an animal? Will you go outside naked or whatever? The more you do, the more he can give you.
And presenting things to you, because that's one thing I forgot to mention that we had talked about earlier was in the meditative state that I had went to the underworld and spoke with a Kate, and she had offered, like, I can give you all this power. Do you want it? Make your decision. You need to make a decision. Why did I need to make a decision? And gave me time. But then that's when Jeff had come back. And then I found myself where I couldn't do things. So I think that was God working in a way to keep me from, at least give me time, because it's free will. We have free will to choose him or not choose him.
Your life doesn't get like just roses.
No.
Like promised. You look at the stars, they talk about going to the crossroads, and next thing you know, they can play the guitar, or whatever's in a certain way, and it changes their life. Yeah, they become famous. Yeah, they get lots of money. Yeah, but look, how many of them are just miserable?
And I'm very thankful I didn't take that.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that I was questioning still in my mind.
Well, it comes with bonds, bindings, and covenants usually that you have to make to the entities that they take parts of you, and they will destroy you if you go back on it.
When you make a deal with the devil like that, think how easy it would be. You're allowing them to possess you. So think how easy it is to make your fingers play a piece of guitar. Something just takes over me, and I openly say this stuff. Like Black Sabbath said, there was a fifth member of our band, like this spiritual being, and we would just come together. They said we never had rehearsal or whatever. We'd come together and the song would play.
Wow.
We'd all, okay, we're going to play the song. What song? Here it is. And the song would come out.
Wow.
And they said that their fifth member, they always gave credit to this fifth spiritual member that would give them that power. Wow.
I think Satan can make something sound like the scariest thing you've ever heard. And he can also make something sound very beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
Most of his stuff, though, I will say, is garbed in pleasure.
Yes.
And all good things.
Yes. That's where the deceit comes in. Yeah. Yes.
I'm done. I'm so sorry it took that
long. Good. You're fantastic. No, I got so many good things out of that, and there are things I wouldn't have even known to ask. So I'm so glad you guys came. By the way, promote your own channel. You are from?
So I'm Mikey and my wife Aubrey, and we have a channel called Candid Truth, and we like to talk about, she digs deep into the pagan origins of things.
As you can tell.
Yeah, from holidays to Olympics to anything. And we really just kind of look at current events that are going on and how it's tying in with Bible prophecy. We talk about UFOs in Hollywood, and that's why we get to cross on our channels a lot, because we have a lot of similar interests. Check out Candid Truth.
Yeah.
On YouTube. And thank you guys for coming. I do appreciate it, man. It has been amazing knowing you and in the Discord, and actually knowing you in person. That too. We shared a pizza together. Yeah, we're forever friends. Later.
Yeah. And I will say it is true. He is super tall. And even his doors of the house, he's had to have super tall doors put in the house.
Yeah. It's my father's fault.
Yeah.
Well, if you would close us out with prayer, we'll end there.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity to get together. And we don't want to dwell on the past, but we definitely want to remember how you led us out of there.
Amen. Yes.
And we also want to warn people of the dangers of going to the places we've been.
Yes.
And Lord, we just want to thank you so much for being the complete definition of love and patience, and being so patient with us when we've given you such a difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord, we just want to thank you for the lessons that you've taught us. And we thank you for the lessons you continue to teach us on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord, we just want to ask that you get us ready, because we know that a time is coming when we're going to be together. And I look forward to that time. Time that we can spend with you, time that we can spend with each other, with our like-minded friends. And we can just sing praises to you, and there be no more pain, no more suffering, no more death, no more sorrow. We just look forward to that time, Lord. And we thank you for the promise of it coming. And we thank you for the outlet of this channel to allow us to come here at this moment and to do these things.
Yes.
And Lord, we just want to ask that you bless Strange Normal.
Yes.
And continue to use it. And Candid Truth as well.
Yes.
And Feet of Jesus. And help us to distribute as many books and literature as possible.
Yes. Thank you.
While the time is still here that we can do that. We ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.